The date is April 25th, 2026. The Middle East of 5 years ago is gone. The maps are being redrawn not by diplomats in Geneva, but by the roar of F-35s over Beirut and the silent high-stakes negotiations in the White House. For decades, the axis of resistance, a network of proxies led by Iran and spearheaded by Hezbollah, held the region in a vice grip. But today, that grip is slipping. In the last 10 days, we have seen the most significant shift in regional power since the 1979 revolution. Israel has launched Operation Eternal Darkness, a campaign designed to do what was once thought impossible, the total dismantling of Hezbollah. But Israel isn't acting alone. Behind the scenes, a new anti-Iran axis has emerged. With Donald Trump back in the Oval Office and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman eyeing a post-Iran future, the world is witnessing a maximum pressure campaign on steroids. Is this the beginning of a new era of peace, or are we watching the fuse being lit for a conflict that will burn for the next 50 years? Today, we go inside the war rooms of Tel Aviv, the palace in Riyadh, and the West Wing to see how the world is finally zeroing in on Hezbollah and the Iranian regime.
To understand the present, we have to look at the sheer scale of the military campaign currently unfolding in Lebanon. On April 8, 2026, the Israel Defense Forces launched what they called Operation Eternal Darkness. In a terrifying display of military precision, Israel conducted over 100 airstrikes in just 10 minutes. The targets weren't just weapon depots, they were the brain of Hezbollah. The IDF targeted the Radwan Force command centers, the group's intelligence hubs in southern Beirut, and the naval units that Iran spent billions to build. Lebanese Health Minister Rakan Nasreddin described the situation as catastrophic. But for Israel, this is a war of survival. For years, the doctrine of unity of arenas protected Hezbollah. The idea was simple. If you attack one part of the Iranian axis, the others, Hamas, the Houthis, and the militias in Iraq would all strike at once. But in 2026, that doctrine is failing. Israel's intelligence has reached a level of penetration that has left Hezbollah's leadership paralyzed. The death of Ali Yusuf Hershi, a top commando on April 8, signaled that no one is safe. The Israeli military isn't just pushing Hezbollah back to the Litani River, they are demanding a total surrender of their arsenal. This isn't just a border skirmish. It is a systematic deconstruction of the most powerful non-state army in the world. And this time, Israel has the full unbridled backing of a US administration that has run out of patience.
Enter Donald Trump. When he returned to the White House, the cautious containment of the previous years was tossed into the trash. The Trump doctrine of 2026 is simple. Results, not rhetoric. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has made it clear. The United States is no longer interested in managing the Iranian threat. They are interested in ending it. In March 2026, Trump's administration presented a 15-point plan to Tehran. The demands were unprecedented. Stop all funding to proxies, dismantle the nuclear program entirely, and end the ballistic missile threat. When Iran balked, the response was immediate. The US launched a counter-blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. As of today, 3 US aircraft carriers, including the USS George H.W. Bush, are patrolling the region. President Trump's recent social media posts have been blunt. The clock is ticking for Iran. Their leaders are gone, the blockade is airtight, and it only gets worse from here. Trump has successfully decoupled the war in Lebanon from the wider regional conflict. By providing Israel with the diplomatic and military cover to finish the job in the north, he is forcing Tehran to choose between its most valuable asset, Hezbollah, and the survival of the regime itself. This is maximum pressure in its most physical form. No more strategic patience, only strategic leverage.
While the bombs fall and the rhetoric flares, the most significant long-term shift is happening in Riyadh. Saudi Arabia finds itself in a delicate yet decisive position. Privately, reports suggest that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Donald Trump have been in constant communication. The Saudis have a vision, Vision 2030, and that vision cannot happen in a region dominated by Iranian-backed instability. Publicly, the Saudis call for de-escalation. But look closer at their actions. They are not coming to Hezbollah's rescue. Instead, they are positioning themselves to lead the day after in Lebanon. Riyadh's goal is to replace Iranian influence with an Arab-first framework. They are pushing for the empowerment of the Lebanese armed forces, essentially telling the world that Lebanon can only be a state if Hezbollah ceases to be a state within a state. By joining this anti-Iran axis, Saudi Arabia is effectively creating a new regional security architecture. This isn't just about the Abraham Accords anymore. This is about a formal alliance between the most powerful Sunni Arab state and Israel, backed by the American military. For the Saudis, the end of Hezbollah isn't just a military win for Israel. It's the removal of a knife that has been held to the throat of the Arab world for 40 years. But what about Iran? The regime in Tehran is facing its most existential crisis since 1979. The assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei earlier this year sent shockwaves through the country. His son Mojtaba Khamenei has taken the reins, but he inherits a house on fire. The Iranian economy is in free fall, with the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed to their exports and the US blockade strangling their remaining revenue. The axis of resistance is starving. We've seen reports of Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon going unpaid for months. In Iraq, militias are facing internal revolts as the population grows tired of being a pawn in a regional chess match. However, a cornered animal is often the most dangerous. While Israel and the US seek a new Middle East, the risk of a Samson option, where the regime tries to take everyone down with them, is very real. We've seen retaliatory strikes in Bahrain and drone attacks on UAE infrastructure. The question is no longer if the axis is falling, but how much it will destroy on its way down. The humanitarian cost is already staggering. Lebanon is a country of ghosts with millions displaced and a capital that has once again become a battlefield. This is the price of the grand realignment.
As we look at the Middle East today, the old rules no longer apply. The era of the shadow war is over. We are now in an era of direct confrontation and radical change. Israel is zeroing in on Hezbollah to secure its northern border for a generation. Trump is using the weight of the American empire to break the Iranian regime's back. And Saudi Arabia is waiting in the wings to build a new integrated region from the ashes of the old order. The anti-Iran axis is no longer a theory, it is a reality. But history teaches us that the Middle East is rarely predictable. As the eternal darkness falls on Hezbollah, we must ask, what kind of light will emerge when the smoke finally clears?